and it turned out to be an awesome day outside. Hey guys, my name is Dustin Apple, aka Whiteriverrambo. I run this little fabrication shop called Whiteriverrambo Customs in Salem, Indiana. But I didn't start out that way. You see, I've done a lot of stuff on social media. I run a couple different YouTube channels, and well, Caleb Copeland has been my friend for a long time. You see, if you know Caleb, you know that if you ever need anything, he always answers the phone. Now, help yourself, but if you get stuck, he's the friend you need to have. He's helped me through a lot of problems and a lot of stupid little things that I just was missing, and it's always handy to have that guy to reach out to. I've always been looking for a way to pay him back because he lives in Georgia, I live in Indiana. If I'm lucky, I get to see him once or twice a year at a show. And I'm not really in the hunting industry any longer. I've moved on into the welding industry. But I think I've got a way to help Caleb and Copeland Creative, as well as the Redneck Tech podcast, in their journey and give back just a little bit. Let me show you what I got in the back of my truck. So, being a welder fabricator, I'm always looking for new things to build, as well as, well, help build my community. If you guys watch the Redneck Tech podcast on YouTube, you know that the studio is only about halfway done. And, well, it's been halfway done for a very long time. So, before I come down to production class, I wanted to make something very, very special. Now, long story short, it's taken me almost a month to come up with the right piece of tabletop. But in today's video, we're going to make a podcast table. When I started looking for a tabletop, I wanted something functional, number one. Number two, relatively inexpensive because this is a favor. Okay, this is for a friend. But I wanted it to be badass. I wanted it to be a big chop block sort here. These are 3 inches thick, almost 3 inches thick. And I got to shopping around. I went to Marketplace, I went to Google, and I looked for places where I could buy slab wood. And one piece this large was going to be in excess of $2,000. Sorry, I love you, Caleb, but that's not going to happen. So I, thought about it for a while, and I made some calls, and I joined some Facebook groups, and I was like, what am I going to do? I don't even care what it is. It can be pine, and I could beat the crap out of it and make a distressed piece, and I mean, it would look amazing. It doesn't have to be ambrosia maple or walnut or pecan or anything like that. Well, this may be a little bit different to Caleb's area, but Eastern red cedar is very popular. However, Eastern red cedar generally doesn't get over that big. These are a very large piece, and this one here is 3 pieces put together. Looks like they all are, but these pieces laying in the barn were about 18 inches wide, and in an Amish man's barn. So I utilized all my resources there and stopped and asked. I'm like, can you make me some tabletops? And let's just say the price was quite a bit reasonable, and that's why I didn't film that portion, because they don't like to be filmed. So just here in the house, he went ahead and planed everything for me. Luckily, the man had a 36-inch plane, and they're a 9 out of 10 already. There are some small saw marks on here. I'm going to leave them just because it's rustic, okay? It's kind of got that old flavor to it. Before we get ahead of ourselves, we have to think about the shot. We have to think about the scene in which this table is going to reside. And I want to pay attention to that. With cedar, you can overdo it very easily, because if I put the wrong finish on this thing, it will brighten up the room. Even though they've got white oak and horns on the wall in the background, I do want a centerpiece. However, I don't want it to blow out the entire shot. So I think we're going to do like a wax finish on this, leave all the imperfections, and just kind of let it be character of the piece. But we've got 3 pieces here. How are we going to make one single top? Well, I've got a plan for that. Let's find something to ride on and show you what kind of top we're actually going to make today. Okay, so before we start into today's video, the whole theme to all of this is to do the hard things. Well, I got my lav mic on and I got my new 4K camera out, and that's about it. You see, I didn't take the extra step. The shot's kind of bland. It's a little wider than it needs to be. It would be much more personal if we were talking like this, right? But I can do so much more. Let's spice it up a little bit. And just like that, a slight little wardrobe change. We got some blue RGB LEDs going on in the background. We've set the scene and highlighted our piece of wood, all right? As well as I got some LED panel lights going on. One is a key light to shine my face and the wood, as well as a hair light that shines the side of my face and the wood. But not only do we have our AX53, we've now brought in the Canon R and running about 35 millimeter. We're still at 4K, 24 frames a second, very cinematic. Feels like we have more than one person in the studio doing all the work, right? We're doing the hard things. Through this shot over here on our Canon, you can see the accents in the grain, as well as the saw marks that were left from the sawmill on this part, and just going to highlight all the characteristics of this piece of wood. Editor's note: when you set the scene, within the first 3 minutes of a video, you need to set the scene. Who, what, when, and where. Now, obviously, I am in my shop, and what is we're going to build a table. However, I don't know who I am. Hi, my name is Dustin Apple, hashtag Whiteriverrambo of Whiteriverrambo Customs, located in Salem, Indiana. I'm a fabricator and somewhat of an artist when it comes to building things with my hands. In today's video, we're going to be building a very special cedar plank table, but it's not only going to be a straight table, it's going to be able to transform into a semicircle. How are we going to do it? Well, you're just going to have to stay tuned and find out. There you go. I set the scene. I was enticing. I was, excited about it, and it made you want to stick around, as well as possibly look me up if you like this video, right? So, as a videographer, no matter what angle you're taking, make sure that you are producing this shot as you go. I'm doing the hard things, making sure that all the things of the shot are set up. Everybody knows what's going on before it actually happens. Now, from here on out, we can do a lot of hyperlapses and voiceovers because you already know what we're getting ready to do, and everybody has the attention span of a mouse. So let's just start some hyperlapse, and that way I can actually do more work, and you guys can do more editing. Let's go. Well, it's going to be a little something like that. So, and obviously the live edge there would be flipped over, and then all this live edge here would be on this side when it's straight. So, I kind of like it. So there is plenty of room now. I've got room under here. We can put that soundboard. You can have Mr. Copeland right here on the seam. Now obviously they'll all be the same height, but you have room for a guest, you have room for the soundboard and things, and then you have room for the other two guys. Across We are just a little bit over 9 feet, right at 9 feet across that way. Let's flip this over and straighten it out and see what that looks like. So stretched out, 9'2", and that is very close to what we had corner to corner, which was about 9'2" in our half circle or semicircle. So far, so good. I like it. Now the trick is to make a table that hinges and have a way to set this in place without putting a bunch of screw holes in it or whatever. I'm going to build a cradle in the middle. That way the two tables are the same distance apart all the time and they just pivot. But I don't have anything to attach the keystone. Caleb's got young kids, and even though this probably weighs about 20 pounds or so, I don't want to take a chance of it being able to be pushed over or pushed off. So I need a way to attach this keystone to the center of the table. And an idea just hit me. The problem is, see, I don't want any big holes on this side when it's flipped over and attached. If I have holes in it, it has to be all the way through and the same hardware hold it both directions. Well, I thought, what's a constant? What would be the same? Well, the center line on this piece would be the same whether it's this way or flipped over. And in real soft wood like this, I'm not a fan of having holes towards the end, because if you're not careful with it, if you pull up on this end and this end still has the hardware in it, you could potentially crack it out. But what if I put a hole right in the middle? That's going to be kind of ugly. How are we going to dress it up? I think I've got an idea.
Get funky. Get funky.
I got a little bit more of a gap here than what I wanted. But one odd thing about how this ended up was straight and the keystone flipped over. You could do it butt to butt. But I put a crossbar in here for our dowel pin to go into, and that bar is not in the center of this piece. Actually, it is in the center of this piece, but it is 3 inches off the edge. Well, 3 inches off the edge changes the pivot point, and that bar slides over when you move it. So the crossbar across here, I had to slot for the pin. And in semicircle mode, we've got 3/8 to a 1/2 inch gap in our seams. More than what I wanted, but once again, coming off of something just in my head, I think it'll work just fine. Now, the crossbar that goes across here is not meant to hold any weight. All it is meant to do is to hold the two tables relative to one another when it's time to move. So if I want to move, just go ahead, flip my keystone over. Take my table, straighten it up. And just like that, we now have a straight table. So, all in all, it worked out pretty well, I think. I mean, hey, it's a gift, right? It looks exceptional. I wish I had more time. Production class started a couple hours ago, actually. They did meet and greets, and everybody's in town, and well, it's 10:30 at night, and they're 8 hours away. So I'm literally going to knock the dust off of this tripod and camera, as well as my DSLR that's been sitting over here, and throw them in the truck, along with my laptop and this brand new table for Copeland Creative. So we'll just wrap the footage up and put a pretty bow on it too. All right, do the hard things, right? Left the house at 5 o'clock this morning. I stopped one time in Knoxville to get gas and to get a thing of black bolts to mount this thing, because the ones I have are pretty short. We're almost there. It is 10 till 1. I've been driving for 8 hours. And well, do the hard things, right? When I left Knoxville, I drove through the sticks to get here, and it has been zig and zag and zig and zag at 35 to 40 mile an hour the whole way. I thought I left Knoxville, it said 128 miles or something like that. I was like, oh, this won't be no big deal. I got worried when it said, now entering North Carolina. I was like, wait a minute, what? We're almost there. Just like 7 miles to go, and we get to surprise Caleb.
So it is the second day, or no, it's actually the first day. Everybody showed up yesterday for the class, and we're just gotten done with the morning stuff, and then in pulls old classmate and longtime friend Dustin Apple, all the way from Indiana. I'm like, the heck are you doing here? And he's like, oh, I got lost. And I'm like, well, I knew he was lying. But as you can tell by the pieces that we're about to put together, he has made this incredible table for our podcast studio. And like, I'm at a loss for words to even describe it, because there's like a bunch of engineering and way too much thought that I would ever put into something went into this. And he's an incredible welder, and obviously he's pretty dang good with wood too, to where he's built a new studio podcast table for our podcast room, because we used to have a $100 piece of crap. And now we've got a legit table that I'm pretty sure we could park a truck on. And like, I don't know what to say. I didn't expect this. It was a surprise. Apparently Ryer and Clay knew about it. But like, that's
What do you always tell me?
I don't remember what I'm always telling you.
What do you tell everyone?
Answer your phone.
Do the hard things.
Do the hard things. Well, yeah, that. Yeah, I just
So you always answer the phone.
try my best.
You always share the information, because let's face it, there's more than enough work out there for all the people that do what we do.
100%.
Right? And whether you land in this industry or the next one, it all carries over.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, dude.
And do what I do.
Yeah.
We all know what you can do.
And it's not this. Not this at all. I have like one or two skills, and this is not one of them. Dude, like, it's way too thoughtful. It's way too much. And, like, I don't know what to, I really don't know what to say. So he handed me this when he got here. He's like, I got a surprise. I'm like, oh, you got a trailer hitch to put in my truck? Like, I didn't know what this pin was. But this is like the key to hold the whole thing in.
So it's pretty forgiving. If you don't get it lined up correctly, just start on the wide side and then just kind of wiggle it till you get it right. Holy crap. I can't see. There.
Yeah, it looks like it's in there.
You're probably getting close.
Yep, I think it's in there. Oh, really close. It's gotta go. It's gotta come towards me a hair. There it is. Almost. Wiggle again. There it is.
So this is table form. But the cool thing about this design, and the whole reason I wanted to do it, was podcasts are meant to be a round table discussion, right? You want to bring your audience in instead of being standoffish and everybody just talking to you. So I flip the keystone over. Go a lot more.
A lot more this way.
Yep.
Oh, there we go. Oh.
So this way is a lot more.
Literally never would have thought about doing that.
A lot more liberal this way. There you go. And then it actually moves around a little bit that way. You can even it up.
Spin your logo there. Holy crap, that's awesome. Yeah, and you can park a truck on it. Dude. That's the coolest thing I've ever gotten. Have you built a bunch of tables? Or
This is the first table I've ever built.
No crap. Well,
Yeah.
dude, you freaking knocked it out of the park.
I've not
Is
built
that
it.
not freaking amazing?
I've not built anything out of cedar in 27 years. I built my wife a hope chest in high school.
How long do you think the smell will last before it goes
A long time.
Good. Can I
And
scratch the bottom of it? and
The
make
bottom
smell
of it
good?
is untreated. Drill a hole or just mar it up, and it will smell
Dude,
again.
that is so legit. I almost want to just make it my office desk. I might make it my office desk
Yeah.
because that's freaking cool. Like, cause that there's not another one like it.
No, there absolutely is not. And if the opportunity presents itself where you need 2 tables instead of 1, you can take the crossbar out, and now you've got 2 tables that should fit flush up against the wall, and be out of the way.
Dude, I don't. It's incredible. It really is. And you can tell, we were just talking about in the class, like people that do things and then exhibit passion. And like you could tell that even if people don't know who you are, whoever built this table was passionate about what they were doing. And that, I love people with passion. And I love stuff like this because I know this is so outside my possibilities or my skill set. Like I would never even fathom to do this. That's freaking awesome, man. Holy crap.
So this would be a good one to watch because there is 5 grown men sitting at the new Whiteriverrambo table for the second podcast on the new table.
I think it really fills out the space.
It still smells amazing, and
We
you can
should have
fit.
television because this just smells like straight cedar.
Do you
It smells
think?
So good.
Do you think we could fit a 6-person?
We
here?
could.
Like if
We could
had to?
probably fit 2 more if we really
Well,
were all
I
like.
just figured out a hack to add up to 5 more channels.
How do you do
Plays
that?
the role of the hunter that's in there. We purposely did several things in this that we're going to get into in a little bit, but we wanted to make a film. We wanted to make episode 168. We are live in the very much improved Redneck Tech Podcast studio. So if you are one of the late night crowd like we are tonight,
So guys, we did a reveal. Drove the 8 hours down here to see Caleb and Ryer and Clay and everybody at the Redneck Tech Podcast production class. And it was an awesome reveal. We ended up getting down here right at lunchtime and assembling the whole thing and having a heart-to-heart discussion about what it means to do the hard things. I have watched so many live podcasts and things in this space. And it means so much to me to have something in this space. This video is all about doing the hard things, and I hope you can appreciate that. My name is Dustin Apple. #WhiteRiverRambo.